Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. We are back for another episode of our football preview series. My name is Ethan McDowell. I am your host, and I am here with Noah Fleischman, as I am every week. We're here to talk about the NC State offensive line. So far on the Wolfpackers YouTube channel, we have talked about the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. Now we are talking about the big men up front. As Noah said right before we started recording, this is where you win games, folks. And for NC State in particular, I think this is a very important unit this week because I think we feel very, very, very confident in the offense as a whole, around the offensive line. And now we're going to have to see how this unit continues to gel, continues to progress. So we're going to, take our, best shot at answering some of these questions about the unit, projecting some standout players from the group. But before we do that, I want to say, just a quick housekeeping note. We are both reporters for the Wolfpacker.com. That's NC State's site on the On3 network, the fastest growing college football and recruiting and basketball site out there. It's only $1 to join right now. I say it at the top of every show because it's the best deal on any NC State site that you'll find right now. $1 for your first month. That takes you from now through the start of fall camp. There's going to be so much awesome content over the next month, previewing the teams. We're going to talk about the conversations we've had with, Dave Dorn, Robert and I, Tony Gibson, and other staff members. We're going to talk about those discussions on this podcast, but we're really going to dive deep on the website and the stories we're writing out there. So go check it out right now for all of the intel, access to our message board, recruiting scoops, anything you could hope for, all on the wolfpacker.com and only for $1 right now. All right, Noah, let it set the scene for NC State's offensive line last year. 4 starters are back. You replace, Dylan McMahon, an NFL draft pick at center, with an experienced graduate transfer. The rest of the unit is back from last year. I feel like it's a unit that got criticized at times last year, and maybe unjustly so. We'll dive deeper into it, but I don't think NC State's offensive line was bad by any stretch of the imagination last year. But we'll give our full takes on that in a few minutes. But first, before we do that, Noah, give the listeners a rundown of what NC State lost and what it gained along its offensive line this year.
For sure. They only had 3 departures. Dylan McMahon, as you said, NFL draft pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. Derek Eason graduated, and Lyndon Cooper hit the transfer portal. Other than that, everybody else came back. So it's a really, really experienced group kind of within NC State's system. They brought in 5 guys. Zeke Curl, as you mentioned, from Notre Dame, one of the most veteran guys that they could have gotten out of the transfer portal for the offensive line. He's set in NC State. And then Valen Erickson also out of the portal as well from Missouri. 3 freshmen, Trent Mitchell, Tyler West, and Robbie Martin, round out the 5 newcomers.
Yeah, so that's as far as freshmen go. NC State has been recruiting really well along the offensive line over the past couple of years in terms of the rankings. You bring in Darion Rivers 2 years ago, top 300 offensive linemen, and then you bring in Trent Mitchell and Tyler West, who are both 4-star prospects as well, and Robbie Martin, number 1 player in West Virginia, right on the cusp of that 4-star ranking. So a lot of young talent coming into the room, but. And unless, Noah, you have a surprise suggestion, I don't think I'm including any of them in the 2 deep that we're about to run down here. Let's go through it. Let's alternate here, Noah. Let's go starter for starter. We'll start at left tackle, one of the easier picks of the starting 5 here. But Anthony Belton's back. A towering offensive tackle for the Wolfpack, checks in at 6'6", 336 pounds. As one recruit recently described to me, he moves like a ballerina, though, out there. He is incredibly agile for his size, someone that I think probably could have left and heard his name called in the NFL draft last year, but now he is back and already garnering NFL draft buzz. ESPN's latest mock draft has him as the number 31 overall selection in the draft, going in the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, that's how talented he is. He is that talented of a player, and he's going to start at left tackle for the Wolfpack this year and could have a huge season that could see his draft stock climb quite a bit. Noah, I kind of set you up for, I think, the most interesting pick of this. Who are you? Who I'm asking you to call your shot right now. Left guard, definitely the most interesting competition along the offensive line right now. Who do you think will start day one?
Give me the new face to the offensive line. They're going to go see Gavin Smith, redshirt freshman, on the offensive line. I think that'll be an exciting thing to see. You know, redshirt freshman, obviously 6'5", 316. He's a big guy. And I think he's going to do enough in camp to go out there against Western Carolina and keep it going after that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the less bold takes of the offseason, because I think everyone's going to kind of agree. I think he is just a super, super talented offensive lineman. He's someone that, he was a 3-star prospect. I think he was a little underrated as far as recruiting services go. And as soon as he got on campus, started garnering a ton of hype. I mean, I'll pull up his high school, height and weight. So On3 had him listed at 6'4", 275, right? That's not what he's at now right now. 6'5", 316. So he grew, bulked up, and I think he is someone that could play guard or tackle with the Pack if you need him to. And I think he is going to – the competition between him and Anthony Carter Jr. is going to be fascinating. It's going to be one of the most interesting position battles on the team, in my opinion. And we'll bet on youth and potential here and pick Kamen Smith as our preseason 2-deep starter along at left guard. At center, it's pretty simple. It's going to be Notre Dame transfer Zeke Correll, 3-year starter for the Fighting Irish. Potentially, I think it has an argument for second or third biggest addition out of the portal. They needed someone to come in and fill a 1-year stopgap at center, and Zeke Correll is one of the best case scenarios to bring in. I mean, he comes in. He dealt with an injury over the winter. We expect him to be fine and be ready to go for the season. But instantly came in, established himself as a leader. He has the tradition in a offensive line room that is usually, competing or winning Joe Moore awards at Notre Dame. So he knows what offensive line excellence looks like, and he's ready to, bring his experience to NC State's offensive line room. And expectations are definitely high internally for him. I think he is someone that could be a team captain this year, and also is going to be a critical part of that offensive front. All right, Noah, let's shift one spot to the right. Right guard, who do you see holding down the starting spot there?
Yeah, we'll go with Tim McKay. Obviously, he's a guy that has been on this line before. He played multiple positions last year on the offensive line, but we've met right guard at 6'4", 312. Raleigh kid. He knows what he's doing. He'll keep it together and keep it going there.
Yep, totally agree. He's been here, done that. He started out at right tackle last year. They moved him inside to guard. And I thought after a kind of rocky start, it was actually really good at that spot as the season went on. And now that he's going to have a full year, I think that'll really help as well. At right tackle, it's going to be Jacarius Peak, redshirt sophomore who really emerged as, I think you could even make it an argument down the stretch of last season, he was the best offensive lineman on the team. At 6'4", 285, he's a little skinny for an offensive lineman, but I think that underscores just how good he is. I mean, he finished the year with a 70.7 PFF grade as a pass blocker and allowed 11 pressures over his 510 snaps. So really, really sound player. I think, again, another year where he gets to put on a little bit more weight and just continue to develop. I think he's going to be really, really good. I think NC State's tackles could be really top end of the ACC tackles for this upcoming season. Expectations are really high. Noah, let's run through the potential backups real quick. At left tackle, I believe we have tabbed there Rico Jackson, a redshirt freshman, who we haven't gotten to see yet, but he's 6'6", 323 pounds. He's someone that was a late addition to the class and someone that there's some early excitement about. He made an appearance on some late season depth charts as well. And we mentioned the battle at left guard. It's Anthony Carter and Kamen Smith. I think those two will battle it out for that spot. At center, Rylan Van started to, kind of carve out his role as the backup center. He is, yes, Davin Van's younger brother. And then at right guard, Dawson Jaramillo, someone who could play anywhere, literally all 5 positions on the NC State offensive line. I think we're kind of in consensus. No, he's probably like the number 6 guy in that room. He was injured in fall camp last year, missed the entire season, but he's healthy now, got an extra year of eligibility, and will contribute again this fall. And I think, yeah, he could be the primary backup at quite a few spots if they need him to be. And then at right tackle, we penciled in Matt McCabe, a former walk-on for the Pack. He's someone who played a few snaps last year, carved out a role in the 2 deep after starting his NC State career as a walk-on. So that's the second 5 that we see right now. Maybe you see, a freshman or redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore emerge during camp and kind of, carve out more of a role there. But that's kind of where we see the offensive line 2 deep shaping up for now. Is the key word, for now, because I think there will definitely be an open competition in camp. All right, now that the stage is kind of set here, Noah, let's give a rundown on what we feel good about and what we don't feel good about in NC State's offensive line room. Kick us off with a reason you are optimistic about, the folks that are going to be protecting Grayson McCall this year.
I'm going to go with the new face to the offensive line, and Zeke Correll. Obviously, it's his first year at State, his only year at NC State. He's done after this. But the way that he's come in and I think taken command of this room is something. He didn't practice during the spring. He got hurt. And Dave Doran kind of described it as he sat back and was able to watch from the back, see what's going on, learn, kind of gain trust from his teammates. Then when he was cleared to go on the field and start working out in the weight room and doing things with his teammates, he started leading from the front. And I think that earned a lot of respect from his teammates. He took time to get to know everybody first, see how things will operate, and then jump in. Veteran leadership is always good, especially from your center, who's going to be running basically the entire offensive line. He's really important on this whole thing. I'd argue the second most important player in the offense and how it is executed behind a quarterback, just with how much he's got to look at it and see. So Zeke Correll being an experienced guy coming in with, 2.5 years of starting experience from Notre Dame, one of the best offensive lines in the country year in and year out. I think that's something to be pretty excited about if you're an NC State fan right now.
Yeah, man, totally agree. Like I said earlier, best case scenario for bringing him in. NC State's used to excellence at center, right? You have Garrett Bradbury, first-round pick, still in the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings. And then Grant Gibson, who was here 5 or 6 years and then was just excellent. All ACC, multiple time selection. I think if he doesn't get hurt, he probably also ends up as an NFL draft pick. And then Dylan McMahon slides inside from guard. He's someone that only had a year at center, but he had a really, really good established experience, reputation in NC State's offensive line room, someone that the Pack did not have to worry about. That is a luxury. Not many, offensive line rooms can say for almost a decade they've had consistency at the center position. That's like NC State has not had to question that position for nearly a decade. And Zeke Correll helps you keep that going one more year. I don't think you have to worry at all. He's going to be consistent in that area, and it's certainly a good pick of a reason to be optimistic about that room. I'm going to go as my reason for optimism is going to be a little more of a projection. I think it's just going to be the ceiling of the tackles. I think Anthony Belton could be a first half of the first round selection this year if he continues to take steps forward. If he takes another step forward, I think he will be a day one draft pick. Just throwing that out there. I don't think that's even that hot of a take because before the year even starts, he's already getting first round buzz. Then on the other side, I think Jacarius Peak, like we said, maybe the best offensive lineman in the room down the stretch of last season. And I don't think it was really even he was playing like blocking tight end roles at points last season before they started putting him in at right tackle. So there's a lot of reasons to be excited about him now that he's going to have a full year to work at that right tackle spot. Also, I'll throw out there, underrated recruiter, very good recruiter for the Pack as far as he played a big role in the official visits in June. So, I don't just, an easy person to root for if you're a Wolfpack fan along that offensive line, if you haven't listened to any of his interviews. But someone that I think we both have high expectations for, and his ceiling is really, really high. So best case scenario, I think you're looking at 2 tackles with all ACC, aspirations. And if they realize that potential, then you're in a pretty good spot, depending on how that interior ends up working out. Because let's think about it. If you have both of the tackles, and let's say they reach their potential, they're borderline all ACC guys. Anthony Belton's maybe first or second team. Then you have Zeke Correll, who's just going to be consistent at center. You don't really have to worry about that. And if you get solid guard play, which I think you should from the competition at left guard and Tim McKay at right guard, then you're looking at this offensive line being easily top half unit in the ACC, right? Like that's solid. That's very good. And I think if that's the case, then you're looking at a very, very successful offense for the Pack. All right, that's enough sunshine and roses, man. Let's talk about why there are reasons to be concerned about this unit. What's one reason that should give the Wolfpack fans pause about NC State's offensive line room?
When you shake it up, there are 3. We're penciling in 3 returning guys coming in. Just maybe some not great continuity at the beginning. Maybe some things go a little wonky. Just putting in 2 new faces, including Kamen Smith, who hasn't played at NC State yet, hasn't played in college football yet. That's probably the only cause for concern. I don't think this will be an issue long term, but you might see some things get a little wonky in the first couple weeks of the year. Maybe it's more penalties than they'd like or something like that. We'll see, but I think long term they'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. The continuity is huge. Bringing back the 4 starters. I think it's just, penalties were an issue last season. Like, that's actually a good point. I'd bring that up as a reason to be concerned. In terms of just blocking penalties as a whole, NC State committed 52. We can run down. So Jacarius Peak committed 3. Anthony Belton committed 8. Dylan McMahon committed 6. Lynn Cooper, who's has since transferred out, committed 7. Timothy McKay, one of the better numbers on the Pack, committed 5. Anthony Carter Jr. committed 1 penalty. So if you see those numbers go down, which I think it will, and we also we can't undersell the point of, like, this is also Garrett Tujay's second year as the offensive line coach. They're not having to get used to him. They know what he expects out of them. Whatever technical tweaks there were from John Garrison to Coach Tujay, they've adjusted to those, made those adjustments. And so I think the penalties should slow down. And other than that, it's just at left guard, you want that competition to be someone standing out, right? You don't want that position battle to be a war of attrition. You want an Anthony Carter Jr. or a Kamen Smith to take a leap, to establish himself firmly as the starting left guard and someone who can hold down that interior spot along the line. All right, folks, we are going to close out today's show with some listener questions. But before we do that, I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling marketplace. Whether you're looking for tickets to NC State football season opener, a Durham Bulls game, a concert, a comedy show, literally whatever you need to buy a ticket for, Game Time has it. You can find Game Time on any app store. Just search up Game Time, or on your web browser at gametime.co. That's not .com, that is .co. Right now, I'm looking at the Game Time app on my phone. I have it. I use it. I'm looking at tickets to Friday night Durham Bulls game. And by far my favorite part about it, and in addition to the fact that it's just an easy-to-use interface, is the fact that when you log on, it shows you the view from your seat. I'll pull it up for you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see if you bought that ticket, you would know exactly the view that you'd be watching from. It's nice, takes a step out of the ticket buying process. If you listen to this show regularly, you know that I appreciate just that little bit of a time saver. So I'm going to sweeten the deal a little bit more here. If you go use Game Time, download on any app store, or look it up at gametime.co and use code Wolfpack. That's all caps Wolfpack when you check out, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. So go, check it out, and Use code Wolfpack when you do. All right, Noah, let's wrap up today's show with some listener questions. The first one was just our starting five along the offensive line. We've kind of already given that, but so I think we're in agreement, right? Anthony Bowden at left tackle, 100%. Zeke Correll at center, Tim McKay at right guard, Jacarius Peak at right tackle. I think that's pretty unanimous here. It's just the left guard spot. Are we on the same page here? Do you think it's Kamen Smith at left guard?
I think going into camp, yeah, for sure. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's going to be contested. It's not going to. I think obviously don't want to make too many changes to your offensive line middle of the year. They did last year, made some changes throughout. Might be one of the spots that could be a rotating door. We've seen them do it where every couple of series we'll put a new guy in, a little rotation. We could also see that. But for now, I think Kamen Smith might come out ahead by the time, August 29th rolls around and Western Carolina's on the field in Raleigh.
Yeah, I think we're both very excited about Kamen Smith. I don't want to undersell Anthony Carter Jr. I think he is someone that definitely did take positive steps forward last year. I mean, you're looking at a guy who, against over the Miami and Wake Forest wins, he allowed 0 pressures, just not a single one, and only allowed 1 quarterback hit across the final, 5 games. So really, really good production down the back half of that season, I think. He also missed time during spring practice, recovering from an injury. So we'll have to see how, they haven't been competing really yet. They haven't gotten to compete with pads on. So this was not like a spring practice competition where we got clarity. I know it's kind of like the same talking point for the offensive line that we've been going on about all year so far, but that's because there's no way to have clarity on it because we haven't really gotten to see Anthony Carter that much. So when they hit the field for fall camp, that's going to be one of, if not the most interesting position battles to kind of unfold here. All right, our second question is, among the underclassmen offensive line, other than Jacarius Peak and Kamen Smith, an important qualifier because that they would have been our answers, who is impressing and may jump into a starting role in the next couple of years? It's a little bit of projection. It's kind of tough to answer that when we haven't seen any of these guys on the field. But no, if you had to pick a guy, who's someone that you could see a year from now playing a role?
I'll take a current freshman. I think that Robbie Martin's got a chance to do that with a good year of development, weight room, everything. I think he can. He was number 1 recruit in West Virginia. Obviously not a big football state, but at the same time, number 1 recruit in any state, you're doing pretty well for yourself. So I think he's a guy that's got a lot of potential and could find a way onto the field next year in 2025.
I agree. He's someone I can see taking over that center job next year. I think as an interior prospect, he was underrated and a huge recruiting win for the Wolfpack. I mean, come on, you get the number 1 recruit out of West Virginia when West Virginia really wanted him. That's an impressive recruiting win. So yes, totally agree. Robbie Martin could be a contributor next season. I'm going to go with Rico Jackson for my selection. NC State needs to find a left tackle of the future. Is that someone that's going to be in the portal? Or is Rico Jackson going to kind of start to emerge as the front runner? It seems like NC State brought in 3 tackles in the 2023 class. It seems like Rico is making a lot of positive strides early and clearly has the frame for it. He definitely has the frame to be a productive player. And, we're just going to have to see if we might not even get to see him on the field this season, but we'll be following the buzz around practice and how things are going. He's someone that the staff was pretty psyched about that they were able to take him in the class. He's someone that I could see working at both tackle and guard in the future. But I think he is right now the leader in the clubhouse as far as that redshirt freshman group to be a contributor next year as well. All right, folks, that is all for our offensive line preview today. I appreciate you all for tuning in and following along for another week of preview stuff. This is our last offensive preview. We're going to dive into the defense starting next week. Plenty of position battles and interesting bits of intel to talk about there. But before then, Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and go check out the wolfpacker.com. Again, like I said at the top of the show, it's only $1. It's not going to get cheaper than that. So go check out all the offensive line and tight end preview stuff that we've published this week, all on the wolfpacker.com. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.